You can talk about the higher self, the inner being, the source within, the soul, the I am, and your life can stay exactly where it's always been. The designer is not a concept you understand. The designer is a frequency you inhabit, a perspective you can rise to, a presence you can feel. The way you make this real for yourself is by going up the mountain. That is what we're going to do today. So why the mountain? The mountain is one of the oldest spiritual metaphors there is. It shows up in every tradition because the metaphor is doing real psychological and energetic work, real spiritual work. Here's why. When you're at base camp, down in the daily life of the avatar, your view is limited. It's like being on the dance floor, being in the stream. You can only see what's right in front of you. The bills, the relationship, the body, the to-do list, the argument from yesterday, the worry about tomorrow, the forest so close to your face you cannot see beyond the next tree. From down there, life often does not make sense. You cannot see why the door closed. You cannot see why the relationship ended. You cannot see why the opportunity slipped through. You cannot see how the pieces fit. So you feel lost. You feel like the GPS is broken. You feel like there's no map. But from the summit, the view changes. From the summit, you can see the whole valley, the whole mountain. You can see where the path you are on is leading. You can see the path you couldn't see before. You can see the bigger pattern. You can see the why behind the no. You can see the doors that are about to open. You can see your life the way the designer sees it. Wider, longer, more loving, more intelligent, more beautifully orchestrated than the avatar can ever perceive from base camp. The summit is not a location, it's a perspective. It's the designer's perspective. And so rising to it, even for a few minutes, changes you. Because when you return to base camp, you're different. You return tuned in. That is the point of the summit exercise. So this is what the exercise is and is not. The summit exercise is a guided visualization, a meditation. It is structured so that you can rise in your imagination, in your felt sense, to the summit of your own inner mountain, where you'll access your designer. I want to be clear about something, because the word meditation can put people off, and the word imagination can make people think it's just pretend. Imagination is not pretend. Imagination is the language of the designer. Neville Goddard built his entire body of work on this single point. Imagination is the creative power within you. What you vividly imagine, what you feel as real, becomes real. Bashar teaches the same thing, that imagination is your direct line to higher consciousness. Florence Scovel Shinn called it the scissor of the mind, the faculty that cuts the pattern your life will be built on. Abraham Hicks describes it as pre-paving, visiting the version of your life you want before it shows up. When you imagine yourself climbing this mountain and meeting the designer, you're not making something up. You're turning a dial. Like tuning a radio, you're tuning to a higher vibration, a higher frequency. You're giving the designer a clear channel to communicate through. You're practicing the frequency of your higher self until your nervous system recognizes it as home. And this is the real work, because once you've felt that frequency, once you've stood at the summit and felt what it feels like to be the you that lives there, base camp can never quite contain you again. You will always know there is more. So here's how to prepare. Before we begin, a few simple things. Find a place where you'll not be interrupted for the next 15 to 20 minutes. Sit comfortably. You do not need a special posture. A chair is fine. A cushion is fine. Lying down is fine, as long as you stay awake. Have your journal nearby. You will want to write the moment the meditation ends, while the impressions are still fresh. Turn your phone off or onto Do Not Disturb. Take a breath. Let yourself be willing. That is all you need. Willingness. You do not need to be a good visualizer. Some people see vivid pictures. Some people see almost nothing visually, but have a strong felt sense. Some people get words. Some people get sensations. All is valid. The designer will speak to you in whichever channel is most natural for you. Trust what comes. There are 2 versions of this exercise. The first time, do the full guided version. Read it slowly to yourself or listen to the audio or the video. I will attach it as a separate MP3 and PDF in your downloadable resources so that you have it. After you've done the full guided visualization once or twice and the path is familiar, you can use the short self-led version on days when you only have a few minutes. This is the summit exercise. Take it slowly. Each section is a doorway. Do not rush. If you want, at any stage in this practice, you can pause the recording to spend more time at a particular place. Close your eyes. Take a deep breath in. And let it out slowly. Take another breath in, and on the exhale, let your shoulders drop. Take a third breath in, and as you exhale, feel your body settle more deeply into where you're sitting or lying. Feel the support of your body on the chair or the floor or whatever's holding you. There is nowhere you need to be for the next 15 minutes. There is nothing you need to do. There is no part of yourself you need to fix or improve to begin this. You are simply here, breathing, willing. Take one more deep breath in and let it go. Now bring your awareness gently to your body, to this avatar, this beautiful human form you've been moving through the world in. Notice how the avatar feels right now. Is there any tension? Can you feel ease? What is the temperature? Is the body tired or alert, heavy or light? There's no right answer, just notice. Send a soft acknowledgement to the avatar, something like, "Thank you for carrying me. I see you. I honor you. I love you." You're not leaving your avatar to climb this mountain. You're bringing it with you, gently. The avatar is welcome here. Now, bring your attention to the part of you that is doing the noticing. That is the player, the conscious witness, the one who can observe the avatar without being consumed by it. Take a moment to feel it now, the quiet, steady awareness behind your eyes. The watcher who's always been with you your whole life, older than your name, calmer than your story. Rest there for a breath. Let yourself be the player, observing the avatar. And now, without effort, without strain, let yourself become aware of the designer. The designer is not somewhere else. It is not far away. The designer is the larger field that the player and the avatar are nested in, the way a single drop of water is nested inside the ocean. Imagine a presence slightly above your head, loving, intelligent, knowing, warm. This is your designer, your higher self, the version of you that has never been afraid, never lost, never been broken, because the designer holds the whole map. Feel this presence shining down on you, all around you. Let it be soft, gentle, nurturing, not pushy, just there as it's always been. Take a breath and feel its love. Feel its presence. Breathe it in. Now, in your imagination, see a mountain. It doesn't have to be any particular mountain. Let it be whatever mountain wants to come to you. Maybe it's green and soft, full of flowers. Maybe it's hard and rocky and dramatic. Maybe it's snow-tipped. Maybe it's a hill gently rising. Whatever appears is exactly right. Look up. The summit is high above you. You cannot quite see the top. There might be mist or distance or sunlight in the way, but you know it's there. And you know, with a quiet knowing, that your designer is at the summit, waiting for you. Not waiting impatiently, waiting like a beloved friend welcoming you home. Now, instead of climbing the mountain step by step, the way the avatar would, you begin to rise. Because here's the secret of this exercise. You do not need to earn your way to the summit. You do not need to prove yourself worthy. This is the natural altitude of your higher self. And the you who is doing this meditation can rise to meet that altitude at any time. So take a breath, and on the exhale, allow yourself to lift lightly, easily off the ground, up, 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 until the air is clear and bright and you find yourself standing on the summit. Take a breath here. The air is different, thinner, cleaner, brighter, warmer. You are not alone at the summit. Your designer is here. Take a moment to perceive how your designer shows up for you today. Maybe you see a figure, a wiser version of yourself, an older self, an elder self, a luminous or angelic presence. Maybe you don't see anything, but you feel an enormous warmth, a recognition, a coming home. Maybe you hear a voice or simply have a knowing. There's no right or wrong way. The designer will meet you in whatever language is natural for you. Whatever the form, feel the love that is here. This is the love that has been with you your entire life, through every wrong turn, every closed door, every long night, every moment you thought you were alone, but you were never alone. The designer was always here, whispering, waiting for you to remember how to plug in. Let that land for a moment. Take it in. Now the designer turns you gently to look out from the summit and see your life. You can see the whole landscape. From this perspective, you can see where you've come from. You can see the turns you took, the turns you missed, the long detours that you thought were mistakes. From here, you can see that they weren't mistakes. They were curves in the path, each one bringing you somewhere. You can see the closed doors, and from this height, you can also see the open doors that were always available to you. You can see the relationships that ended, and you can see the space those endings made for something new. You can see the pieces fitting together in a way you could never see from base camp. From here, the things that did not make sense begin to make sense. Take this in. Don't rush. Now the designer shows you where you currently are on the mountain. This is shown with support, pride, and compassion. Notice where you are. Are you at base camp? Are you somewhere halfway up? Are you close to the summit? Perhaps you're in a valley or even a plateau. Maybe you're resting or you've sprained your ankle and are out of action for now. However you see it with compassion and pride for getting there. There is no judgment for where you are on the mountain. Take this in. See yourself clearly. Now look forward, out towards the future. You can see possibilities, so many possibilities, so many paths leading to the summit. The designer holds them all. Feel the spaciousness. There's so much more available than your avatar at base camp could ever perceive. So much more love, so much more support, so much more abundance, so much more joy. You're not stuck. You've never been stuck. You've only been at the wrong altitude to see what is true. Now, while you're here at the summit, while you're tuned into this frequency, send a signal. This is not a list of demands. It is not a desperate ask. Just a clear, calm broadcast from this higher altitude. Let yourself feel vividly what is most wanted, the version of your life that is calling to you, whatever it is: health, love, creative expression, money, peace, purpose, joy, family, the next right step. Do not overthink it. Feel it from the place of the summit, where whatever you want already exists. Feel it as if you already have it. Feel the relief. Feel the gratitude. Feel the certainty, the calm rightness of it. This is what Neville Goddard meant by assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled. This is the moment. This is where you do that from the summit, with the designer's presence around you, with the designer's view in front of you. The signal you send from here is clear, powerful, and unwavering, because there is no doubt at this altitude. Sit in this for a few breaths. Feel it as if it is already so. Before you descend, ask your designer, silently or out loud, what do I most need to know right now? Then wait. Listen. Be willing to receive in any form. It could be a word, a picture, a feeling, a song lyric, a name, a color, a sense of yes or no, or perhaps not now. Sometimes the answer is a gentle smile, a soft whisper. Sometimes it's a clear instruction. Sometimes it's just a feeling of being deeply, profoundly loved, and the answer comes later, in the days that follow. Whatever comes, receive it without questioning. Do not tell yourself you're making it up. The designer speaks in imagination and metaphor because imagination is its language. What comes through is real. You can ask one more question if you wish. What is my next step? Receive what comes. Thank your designer. Feel the love between you. Now, knowing you can come back here at any time you wish, knowing the path is open, knowing the summit is yours, let yourself begin to descend. You're not leaving the designer behind. You're bringing the designer with you, down the mountain, back into your body, back into the room. You see, you carry the frequency of the summit within you now. It resides in your nervous system. It glows gently behind your heart. The avatar that returns to base camp is not the same avatar that left. Something has been retuned, shifted, upgraded. Take a breath. Feel your feet on the floor. Feel your body in the chair or on the floor, whatever's holding you. Wiggle your fingers and your toes. Slowly, gently. Whenever you're ready, open your eyes. Welcome back. The first thing you want to do before you check your phone, before you make tea, before you talk to anyone, is open your journal and write. Capture it while it's still fresh. What did the mountain look like? How did the designer show up for you? What did you see when you looked out from the summit? Did anything surprise you? Did anything suddenly make sense? What signal did you send? Write it in the present tense as if it's already happened. What did the designer give you when you asked, "What do I most need to know?" And what is my next step? How does your body feel now compared to when you started? Do not edit. Do not censor. Just write what came. Some of it may or may not make sense yet. That's fine. Write it anyway. It often makes sense days or weeks later when life shows you what the designer was already pointing to. Once you've done the full guided visualization a few times, the path is yours. You've created a neural pathway, and you can use this short version anytime you need to plug in quickly. It might be before a difficult conversation, before a decision, when you feel lost, when you want a fresh signal, and especially as part of your feel-good evening and morning routine. Here's the short version. Take 3 deep breaths and allow yourself to settle. Notice your avatar. Notice your player. Feel the designer, slightly above and all around, just there as always. See the mountain and begin to lift to the summit. Feel the designer's presence as you stand at the top of the summit. Feel the love, the light, the joy, the certainty of the summit. Look out. See your life from this height. Notice what becomes clear. Send the signal. Feel the wish fulfilled. Ask, what do I most need to know? What is my next step? Receive whatever comes. Thank the designer. Carry the frequency back down and open your eyes. That's it. 3 to 5 minutes is all it takes once the path is in your body. This shortened version is also attached in your downloadable resources. So here are some practical notes on what to expect. The first time may feel unfamiliar. That's normal. You may not see much. You may feel like you're making it up. You may feel restless. You may feel emotional and not know why. All of this is the system tuning in. Trust it. Keep doing it. Do it again and again. Different days may have different summits. Some days the designer feels enormous and clear. Some days the connection feels thinner or weaker. This does not mean the designer is gone or that you're doing it wrong. It means the avatar is having a different kind of day. The frequency is always there. The variable is the receiver. It could also just be the weather. Tears are common. Many people cry the first time they meet the designer. The relief of remembering you've never been alone is enormous. Let it move through you. Tears are cleansing. They are clearing the static. Know that you'll not always get a clear answer to your question. Sometimes the designer's answer is a feeling, a color, a sense, an unspoken "I have you." Clarity often arrives later in the day or the week through one of the GPS signals, a synchronicity, an intuition, an excitement, a piece of feedback from emotion. Watch for it. You will get the message. Don't despair. If you don't get the message immediately, you will get it. Use this as your reset button. Anytime you feel lost, off track, contracted, hopeless, or just spinning, go to the summit. The designer is always there. The mountain is always there. You are always welcome. Plugging in and visiting the summit is always available, whether it's in 3 breaths or 15 minutes, as much or as little as you have time for. I would also recommend that you do the summit exercise as part of your feel-good evening and morning routine, that you use it as the O, the open to receive. It's also part of the D, the decide. You're getting guidance from your designer of how to bring more of the 5th dimensional part of you, the summit part of you, into your everyday life. You have just done one of the most important things a person can do in this lifetime. You have plugged in and you have met your designer. From here, everything in the course gets easier because you're no longer trying to figure out life all alone from base camp with a broken sense of direction, with no map. You have the guidance system. You have the GPS and you know how to climb back up to the summit anytime you need it.